Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Sorry, guys. And this is being recorded though, so therefore, and it's as soon as I get the webpage up, we're also in this a lot of different things, including our end of year fundraiser. So there's been a lot of stuff like that, but all the meetings are recorded.
Okay.
And they're gonna be uploaded to the website, so everybody will be able to see it.
Got it.
All right. So thank you guys for coming. Yes.
My name is Ryan Jerome. I have been a police officer for almost 6 years. Most currently in my current unit, which is community oriented policing, for approximately 2.5 years. And we are the sole, I guess, Matt and I are the only officers in our department that deal strictly with homelessness and the unhoused community.
I mean, because I put up the chairs and I was like, is this what they want? And Rob's like, I don't know. I was like, okay.
Thank you.
Matthew Jordan, I've been a police officer for 20 years now. The last 7.5 have been with North Las Vegas. I came over the unit about the same time Ryan did, so I've been over the COP unit for policing for about 2.5 years. And like you said, we're the only two officers that deal with the homelessness issue in the city of North Las Vegas. Well, we're a lot different than Metro in that we don't have as many resources. We're not obviously as big of a department as I think total officers in our department, maybe 300 with command staff, as where Metro you're looking at a couple thousand at least, I believe. So where their homeless resources, like we do, you have the hot team coming,
Yes.
and they deal strictly with outreach.
Mhm.
And then they have their more team that does more of the that does more of the enforcement side. So we don't have the I guess the luxury of having that amount, those resources. So Matt and I are kind of like all of that wrapped into one and just us two. So although we do outreach, we also deal with the enforcement side of the homeless issue as well. Since we've been here in the last couple of years, the job has evolved. It's constantly, evolving. When we first got over there, we were resource outreach oriented as well as the enforcement side. About how long ago? About a year and a half ago. About a year and a half ago, the city of North Las Vegas started a program called it's a home team, which is homeless outreach mobile engagement team.
Oh, okay.
And they contract with Chicanos por la Casa.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of a mixture of city employees as well as I believe Chicanos por la Casa is a nonprofit.
Yes.
And they lend, I want to say 4 to 5 employees to the city. And basically their entire function is outreach. So now where before them, we were kind of more balanced as far as outreach enforcement, because we needed to fill that role. The home team fills that role for us.
Okay.
We work hand in hand with them on a daily basis. They bring a lot of resources to the table. So they are directly connected with the Help of Southern Nevada. So if we have an issue or we encounter somebody who desires services or we think could benefit from that, they'll come out, they do the assessments. They have access to what's the program? It's like HMIS. So they have a better handle and understanding of where somebody is at in their journey, or where have they received services before, all their record up until this point for shelters, diagnosis, stuff of that nature. And one of the coolest things that they have recently is they started they got a lot of money and they have an emergency housing program, which they can give, they house people within a day. They had a lot of grant money come in, and there's certain criteria that you have to meet. One of them being you have to have an exit plan.
Okay.
So they're like I said, I don't know all of the criteria, but there's been people that we've referred, we go out, we meet with people, and they're housed by that evening.
Wow.
And it's usually for 30 days at a time.
Mhm.
They partner with a lot of our short-term stay places, Starlight on the Boulevard, Motel Sixes,
Okay,
as well as places in Las Vegas to get people housed, and
okay.
so that's been a valuable resource to us.
They will take couples, animals, so those are no longer a hurdle with this program that they have now. So.
And is this something that can be utilized in Las Vegas as well as North Las Vegas, or is it specifically North
They
Las
might be
Vegas?
for North Las
Okay.
Vegas at the time, I don't know if it's gonna be reviewed.
Okay.
When the fiscal year is over,
We hope so.
where the money's out, we hope it will be,
Mhm.
because it is a huge tool for us, especially people that are on the verge of getting out of the homelessness, they have a way of getting out, they just need a little bit of assistance from the short-term housing,
Right.
so it works out for us that way. To add on to what Ryan's saying, the city has taken on like a multi-pronged approach to homelessness at this point. One of the other problems they have that we've got together with the municipal court
Mhm.
and started more of a what was it called?
Care for
Yeah, care court, but it's a diversionary type court.
Okay.
So when we recognize, and this department wide, every officer is known to look for someone who looks like they need assistance with either mental illness, drug dependency, or homelessness. They can, when they are taken into custody, they're able to basically put a box
Really?
on the form, and they're sent to the special court for diversionary. So hopefully when they go to this court, there's a services waiting for them there. There's people that are gonna try and put them in this, and if they're able to follow the program, the charges will be dropped. So we're trying to identify people that need assistance and try to put them in that program. So even if they do get enforcement action taken upon them, we're not trying to bury them under anything else, any other charges and things they need, or money wise or fine wise. We're trying to make sure they get into the system and get some help. And with the service resistant individuals, sometimes it takes a lot of the getting the rock bottom or getting in there and maybe getting off of coming down off what there are, maybe think a little clearly,
Mhm.
more clear when they get to court and they're able to decide if they want to take the service or not.
Okay, okay. And so is when you guys do encounter service resistant people, is the only time that you're able to do something when you are able to take them into custody, or is there like a 72-hour hold that could be done? What?
So there's a lot of criteria that have to be met for the 72-hour hold.
Mhm.
And again, that's another thing that's constantly changing. It changed more recently. I want to say like it's changed since we've been off of patrol.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's more along the lines of wanting to hurt yourself, having suicidal
Mhm.
thoughts. And again, it's something that they're gonna have to come to us and say, I'm having these thoughts, or you have to feel like if you don't intervene that that person's safety or somebody else's safety is in jeopardy at that, like immediately.
Mhm.
So 72-hour holds, we don't do a lot of those. We don't see a lot of scenarios where that applies when we are out, our normal patrols. But as far as service resistant, that's I think that's our biggest hurdle, because we see a lot of people that we would love to help, our elderly community, our the community experiencing mental health issues. Those are the mental health is our biggest hurdle, because if they don't want to get the help, we can't force them into it. So because we're out we build relationships with these people, and we know them by name, we know where they're at, we share, food, we take them food, there's a lot of, but it's unfortunate, but if they're that set on not getting help,
Mhm.
that's our biggest hurdle, because we can't force them into the help, so depending on the situation, that's where the care court kind of comes into play, because it is a tool to get somebody exposed to services.
Mhm.
We don't have to take somebody into custody to put them into care court. It could just be as simple as writing a citation,
Oh, really? Okay.
and explaining to them, hey, you're not expected to be able to pay this citation.
Mhm.
The court knows that you need services, resources, you're gonna be assigned a caseworker, show up on this date, explain to them, be honest, do you have drug dependency, substance abuse issues, mental health issues? employment, stuff of that nature, and they're gonna work with you. They're gonna assign you a caseworker, and they have the resources available to, offer. So it's kind of a way just to, I guess, to get somebody exposed to the services, you know. Um, we talked about it, multi-pronged, and within the city of North Las Vegas, they're constantly getting, because we have so many programs. The fire department has their own program. We have our program. The jail has a program. The court has a program. So they're literally being bombarded with services, resources, trying to, get them into programs, detox, and you name it. They're
Right.
yeah.
Let me see what they're saying, and then I do have another question for you. So it says 7-hour hold is a legal obligation to hold someone who is expressing, so, yeah. And intent to harm, right. If there's a way for us to connect, please let me know. CCC provides all of these services, right? So the building that we're in, the organization that we share it with. Aaron, did you want to talk, or did you?
Yeah, I can. I didn't want to interrupt. It's hard when I'm not in the exact. Can you hear me?
Oh, I wonder if. Let me see. No, the volume's all the way up.
Right, you
We
can't
may
hear
not
me.
have volume on this TV, but I'll give them you all's contact information. Because they do provide those services in Las Vegas. We're right up the street, 714 Sahara.
Awesome.
And so I'll give you their information to connect with them. I'm wondering, let's see, that would be great. I'd be happy to help. We work with the court in North Las Vegas too. Oh, okay, awesome.
Perfect.
Because you said you were talking about the multi-prong and a lot of money came in, did that have to do with the continuum of care thing that came through? Or,
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
familiar with the grant money that came through, but
okay,
We can give you the information for the actual coordinator of the home team, and you might be able to answer a little more questions about that than what we can.
okay.
He would probably be able to have all the information.
Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome. Because that's what I want to do is every meeting, just different people that do different things within it, have them come so that we can all know what is going on.
Sure.
Because from our perspective, then it's like we have an issue, there doesn't seem to be anything that can be done, we call the police, but it's not necessarily the right people. Yeah, and then it takes, because of course, understaffing, completely understood, but it takes, a long time to come out, and oftentimes when they're out, then it's like, well, the situation's done now,
Yeah.
so,
And unfortunately, the patrol is not equipped, most patrol officers
Exactly.
aren't equipped with the resources and tools necessary to deal with those situations.
Like Ryan said, we're the only two that do the city and work Monday through Thursday, 7 to 5. So if we're not on duty, we'll do our best to help we get calls all the time while we're off from other officers or someone else that needs help, and we'll do our best to assist them where we can,
And it's
where we are.
And it could be overwhelming too,
Yeah.
because we are considered the homeless officers for our department. We get everything, any kind of complaints that come through City Hall to the mayor's office, to the city council, that filters down to us. Every supervisor, every patrol officer, we get work a lot with code enforcement, because they, again, with the squatter houses, the lots, the desert lots, private property that become an issue. So we, partner with them a lot, as well as city beautification. So we get it from all different angles on that.
So do you know, because it's been years now, so do you know if they have any intention of expanding your department?
It's been talked about
Uh-huh.
for us to be expanded, but that was the last time I heard we were actually gonna have that happen was before COVID.
Oh.
And when COVID hit, that kind of took out a lot of the resources that we had, and then with staffing as it is at the moment, that there's no one to pull for our stuff.
Wow.
So I believe was my position a grant funded?
One of us is actually a grant funded position.
So then prior to that, for years, it was only one officer. Yeah, so, and he went back all the way to like the the housing crash and the recession and yeah. So, and then up until that, it's always just been one officer and then, which is another, another hurdle for this department. So now that we have two, it's, it's safer and better for us,
Yes.
yeah, for sure. So,
Okay.
but yeah, definitely think they would love to expand it and the city would love to expand it because they have so many different departments that rely on us. Everybody wants us because it's like, oh, the home team wants us because they gotta go in the tunnels, they gotta engage this person, and then code enforcement wants us, and so we get pulled in a lot of directions, and what it comes down to a lot is there's just not enough of us.
Yes.
And that's a common thing we hear, and a lot of complaints come in, and I think eventually they're, the police department is gonna have to,
Yeah.
they're gonna be forced to expand because they need it, it's needed in the community, so.
Right. And partnering with the nonprofits, and so has that felt like it's expanded the force, or does it, in order for them to do anything, they have to partner, like there's not a patrol officer that can go with them when they go, it has to be you guys?
There is, but the
Okay.
problem with that is unless there is a dangerous situation, because we are understaffed, depending on the nature of the call, they could be waiting a very long time, and that's what their main complaint is, so like city beautification, they're out with the homeless community on a daily basis, and they build relationships with them as well, because they'll go out and, they provide them with bags, they kind of clean up after themselves, they have a relationship with those individuals as well. But because of the nature of what they do, they get met with a lot of resistance, so they need us a lot. And if they were to call and it's just a normal situation, like they could be waiting for hours, depending on the time and call volume and things like that. So for us, it's like a direct line.
Yes.
So if you do have someone that wants to go out and do something in the city, the best is maybe we'll leave our email addresses and our
Okay.
contact. Just maybe set up something in advance. That way we can schedule something so we make sure we're there and make sure we can be there.
Okay.
So they're not waiting for long time.
Right.
So, yeah, we try to make ourselves as available as possible. So, and then on top of our the homeless stuff, we also do community engagement, so we're getting for a lot of, chill with the cop and coffee with the cop and, weekend events, like private. School, I mean, it's a busy season for us, like was at back to school events last week, and he's at pool parties for the councilman, and so, yeah, we're stretched pretty thin,
Right.
so.
Oh, wow. So what, are you guys involved or not? Should I say, what is being done to drum up more officers, like, employment?
Our
staffing?
recruitment,
Yeah, recruitment, thank
the city is actually, if you haven't seen it, they put a substantial signing bonus on
Oh.
for lateral officers right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got experience within the state and even outside the state, I think it's almost $40,000 that you can get or sign on or something.
Okay.
So they're doing
Yeah.
some things they can.
It's not a local thing,
It's
it's
not
not
just
across the
Las
country.
Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's especially in the valley too. It's not just us. I mean,
Mhm.
Metro's having issues.
Oh,
with
yes,
people,
yes,
you know, it's a nationwide thing, like Ryan said. I mean, it's also the valley. I mean, we're competing with each other constantly to try and get officers.
I mean, our recruiting team is going like to Chicago, they're going to Oregon, like they're trying to recruit from other states and but it's, it's the same with them, they come here and everybody's vying for the same individuals, and it's unfortunate, but like I said, it's a crisis that's, across the country.
And then other people are doing the same thing to us. They're coming out here trying to pick officers from us, and some bars that are going to other.
Yeah, we have a lot
and
of people down there. But then we get the laterals, so it's kind of a weird time in law enforcement right now because of the shortage, and everybody's, like I said, the signing bonuses are across the country. Every state has, pretty sizable signing bonus. So.
Wow. Does anybody have any questions so far? I think.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if, like, so the need, like, what is the situation in North Las Vegas? Have you seen it grow over time with the homeless population, more people coming in, or?
Since we've been in the unit, the homeless population of Las Vegas, I think, is shrunk a little bit. With our programs that we're running with the care board and the team up with code enforcement and things like that, since we've come up, we've taken a much more active role in the the outreach and the policing aspect of it. So where you would see a lot of camps previously, there's not as many camps in North Las Vegas anymore. So while we do have homeless issues and homeless problems, the actual building of encampments has gone down quite a bit.
Yeah, that was mainly, they were on private property. That's where a lot of our issues were, our business owners in the community. And most of or I guess it was saturated on the border with us in Metro, just because that's where all the services are at.
I don't know if if you know the board, the actual border of North Las Vegas versus the city of Las Vegas is actually Owens.
Oh,
So right there where all the services and all
All the shelters.
Yeah.
but they're all there, so it would all just come out into both cities. So
And so, and not only just the shelters, but because they have that's where our unsheltered and unhoused community is at.
Mhm.
That's, you have the churches coming in, the free phone booths, the everything you can think of, and they do the pickups for the what is it, the social.
the classes and the programs and things like that.
So that's where, like, it's kind of like in that little area is where most of our, our individuals are at, and so, but as far as like throughout the community, there's not as many as there used to be. Frankly, I think a lot of them, they get tired of the home team, because the home team also, they get the complaints from the mayor, and so they're constantly going out, and all they have is just to offer resources and transportation, and you talked about the 30%, from my experience, it's a lot larger percentage than so much we cannot, because when Officer Jordan and I were out and we were offering services, it's like, we want to take people, to Crossroads, and we just, and same thing with the home team. I think they would tell you that the percentage of service resistant, or I forget the terminology.
Yes,
is a lot higher for us.
And to answer your question further, I think the reason why it's lower is the city has put so much resources into it over the past 2.5 years to try and help the situation, that we've just thrown stuff at it. And I think that's the reason why we're probably a little bit lower than what it was before.
So the service resistant, has that gone up since COVID? Were there more resistant or?
So I can't speak because we weren't there prior to COVID in this capacity.
Right.
But
service resistant individuals are basically the same reasons across the board.
Mhm,
It's either drug dependence,
Right.
mental health issue,
mhm,
or something like that. So I'm not sure if COVID really changed that
mhm,
as much. Like I said, we weren't there before, so we can't speak to that.
mhm.
But that's been our experience, and that's usually what keeps them service resistant.
it's rare for us to find somebody to say, I want to get help, or yes, I would love, it's very rare. Very, very rare.
So you're, the majority of your account, oh, wow, okay,
And and I would like to get you connected with Jason Lilly, who is the coordinator of the home team.
okay.
Because he tracks all their numbers, their percentages. Every demographic you could think of, he tracks it, and we meet, quarterly,
Mhm.
and he shares, their success, but as well, and it's kind of staggering to think about, like, some of the numbers, and it's kind of eye-opening,
Mhm,
so.
Yeah.
that was my other question. So if somebody doesn't have a home,
Mhm.
how do they prove that they're like a resident of North Las Vegas?
There's really not like a bit like a strict vetting process for something like that. If they contact them, they could literally walk across the street into North Las Vegas
Mhm.
and contact the home team. And if they had like I said, met the criteria, they could probably be housed that day. So.
Cause we're like, I work for the center, the LGBT center over
Okay.
at Maryland and basically Charleston, so. We're like a few blocks outside of
Sure.
North Las Vegas, and you know, we have a lot of resources too.
Okay,
I'd actually love to connect with you and have
absolutely.
you come down and.
Yeah. Yeah, as many resources, you know, all the thing we get. So,
And I would love to connect with the other folks too.
yeah, we would, like I said, we'll get you, we're gonna speak with him and we would love to bring him up and. Because he, like I said, he is a wealth of information and they track all their numbers and. And it went down to the ages and how many people accept services, you know, veteran information. So that was another thing, like, there's just not a lot of veterans that they have that are, I think they had 12 last year.
Mhm.
You know, and that's them, that's like a team of like 8, 9 people, like just in the community every day, in the tunnels, in the washes and the encampments and just. Yeah, it's rare, you know, and then there's a lot of times we see people that we want to see get help. And so we come up and we'll call them out, we'll all go out and it's just. It's hard to get them to, I guess, cross that hurdle.
Right. But I'm sure building those connections help a lot too.
The relationships, yeah. for sure.
Exactly. And it says, I know sometimes resistance can also be inability. We will reach out to homeless people around our building who say they're trying to get an ID or waiting on a medical card or for disability to come through, but they don't have access to an address or some other requirements that's preventing them from moving forward with a certain resource they need.
So,
Is there any assistance for these situations?
so if they need an address, the
Mhm.
courtyard will actually let them use their address from.
Really?
So they're able to send their mail to the courtyard.
Oh, wow.
When it comes to IDs and things like that, I know every Tuesdays and Thursdays, Salvation Army will be there in the mornings and they'll help them get their birth certificate, help them get the information they need for their IDs. So it's out there.
Yeah.
People will help them for it if they can tell them that, hey,
Mhm.
Salvation Army will do this.
Right.
Problem is they just have to stay in one area long enough to,
Mhm.
like I said, set up the mail,
Mhm.
be there when, you know, the mail comes in, you know. That sometimes it's a lengthy process because if they don't have a birth certificate or they haven't had a prior Nevada ID,
Mhm.
you know, but there are programs, they'll give them one free ID, they'll, you know, so.
I think if you say you're homeless, you get one free ID.
Okay.
So once you get your birth certificate, what is your birth certificate? What else you need? Social security card is what you need for the DMV. Those give you the free ID. And then the services down there will help them get it.
Okay, cool deal. And I'll ask you guys if you can send me, where they can go, that information where they can go. Do you guys have like a one sheet with the different resources or?
We can send that to you as well.
Okay,
Yeah, we
perfect.
do.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
That has it.
Is it just North Las Vegas we're talking about? No, for you guys,
Yes.
but everybody else here is just community, right? Because East Valley Family Services, which I'm the director of, which is right next door, we also help with IDs and, you get them on ID and a birth certificate.
Sure. Yeah.
So, the birth certificates can be sent to our office, they come from us. So there, we do have those kind of services also.
That's great, because that's probably one of the biggest hurdles that we see for them is the lack of identification.
Right.
You know, they have the clarity cards, but it just doesn't
That's
make the
the
same.
same clarity cards, but
And I think now we're gearing up, I think our home
Yeah.
team's gonna actually, I think they're set up to actually,
Print
make
them.
print clarity cards and stuff, which is good for, you know, certain uses, but nothing beats a, you know, a legal ID. So.
right. The only problem we would have with the ID is the fact that they don't have a stable address.
Exactly.
We can help them with the birth certificate, but if they don't have an address, there's nothing we can do with the.
Sure.
Right.
And I think too, a lot of times when we just dealt with an individual last month where the emergency housing, you know, comes into play because then that kind of puts them in a place, you know, that, you know, for the time being to
Right.
give them the opportunity to get those, you know, documents and stuff.
So the organization you were talking about before that has all that money, and you said it was help?
It's called HOME.
Oh.
And it's an acronym for Homeless Outreach Mobile Engagement. And it's a City of North Las Vegas sponsored program. So.
I don't think you guys are on emails that, I've been
Yeah, I
doing.
think so.
We'll definitely send you our information. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
And I'll say thank you, exclamation points. Okay, I should have lost it. Wait, it's very long.
You know, the jar, how to call it, the jar. Yeah, they're gonna open a big clinic for the homeless. Yeah, I was reading like 3 days ago, that they're gonna open a big clinic for the homeless, so they can get.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where all the services are kind of, everything centered right in that area, because you have Salvation Army, they have the day room, they can go in and get out of the heat, you know, hydration stations. So, yeah, that's kind of where they're at right now. And that's where we direct people to, because I mean, with the courtyard, they also have the Help of Southern Nevada in there, who also equipped to do the assessments, get them on lists for housing, and then just kind of see what the need is, or, you know, whether it's detox or, and point them in those directions.
Okay, oh, that means, so when, for like, say, trespass, like, and I'm like ways of getting people into the proper court system, stuff like that, because do you get citations for trespassing?
Absolutely.
And so, and with that, then you can write that trespassing citation and put them through the court system and all that kind of stuff.
So in North Las Vegas, for us, some of the most common charges that are used or would be trespassing,
Okay.
open containers of alcohol in public, and shopping carts.
Oh, wow.
So those are some of the most common we use. We've had a lot of focus on parks recently, not from us, but because of the community. That's another area that we tread lightly on, just because of case law that has come out recently from some of the other municipalities in our region. Basically, you just got to be careful, because you can't outlaw homelessness. You know, you can't knock somebody for doing a natural human, you know, function if it's if a restroom's not available, if the shelters aren't available. The thing is, for us, that we do notice is, I mean, there are always beds available.
Okay.
That term might be thrown around, used a little loosely, but the courtyard, we get shelter notifications on a daily basis.
Okay.
So there are places to go. A lot of times they don't like the places because there are rules and stuff of that nature, but to go back to the parks, there's a whole other set of rules for parks, as far as camping in parks, you know, loitering where children congregate, stuff like that. So all of these are citable offenses. 90% of the stuff that we do deal with are misdemeanor crimes. You know, from time to time we will, you know, be out and end up in a big drug thing, you know, or, you know, that happens, you know, so, but so like you mentioned, trespassing, and that's probably one of the most common that we see.
Okay.
Just because those are the calls that are coming in from our business,
Right.
you know, our local businesses, you know, harassment, you know, bothering customers, sleeping on property, or they're getting fined because all of a sudden this guy's getting a call. It's like, hey, did you know there's 12 people camping out on your lawn and there's all this trash? And so,
Okay.
yeah, that's when trespassing comes into play.
But yes, if we do issue a citation, we will put them in the care court
Okay.
on the citation for trespass.
Nice.
And we've been working on trying to get a specific day. So like, you know, on the citation, there will be a day, certain day of the month where they're gonna see the care court recipients or the people who are entered into the care court program. That way they can have all the resources and the providers there in one place, and just kind of almost like a pop-up, you know, and they'll be there, you know, and who, you know, shows up at that day can, you know, choose to get help or whatever the case may be.
And so what are, because I can't imagine everybody actually shows up to court, so what are you, like, I imagine it's tracked in the system. So what is the next step if they get the citation for the care court, they don't go, and you encounter them again and you see that they've had that, what
It would be the warrant at that. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
just like any other citation.
It is, okay,
If you choose not to go to court for it.
okay.
And then the way that the law has been now that has changed,
Mhm.
say that we do see someone that's trespassing, we gave them a citation for it, and they're there, and the next day, at that point, it might become an arrest.
Okay,
If it continues to go
Okay, and is that still going to route them through the care system?
Correct.
Okay, okay.
Sure. And then when there's, and again, like I said, with the relationships we build, we know, it's very rare we see, people we don't know.
Okay.
We're very familiar with our community and there's just, there's certain individuals that just don't want
Mhm.
the help, and they know that some of them, to be honest, they'd like to be in the correction center. And I think especially now with the heat, we're seeing a lot of that where it's like, they do, I think they do things,
Mhm.
to get out of the heat.
Right.
So, and then we have one individual in particular that we've dealt with for 2 years.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that he doesn't, jail's probably not the best place for him,
Mhm.
but he knows. As soon as he gets out, he goes back to the same place that he got picked up the last time. And does the same thing, and then, and he knows the right things to say to the judge, and then, and he'll end up in jail for 30 days, 40 days. And it's to the point where his mom has seen us talking to him, and she's begged us, take him to jail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she just, they don't have, there's no other answer
Right.
at that point. And at least then she knows that he's,
Mhm.
I guess, got a roof over his head and food and probably not, using substances, so.
So, and it's interesting that you said that you haven't seen new faces. So. How would you like explain the numbers for that? Because you haven't seen new faces. There are more service resistant people, but the numbers have gone down as far as the homelessness in camps and stuff like that. So how does that line?
We'll see some new people. Some new
Um,
people be out there.
Mhm.
Regulars of seeing that person again.
Okay,
well,
okay,
I
gotcha.
talk to them, they usually, it's the people that we know that stick around and the people that we see constantly.
Okay, gotcha.
But every once in a while, we'll see.
Yeah, and we see them, but like, it's not, we'll go a day and we know every individual we talk to, and they're like, it's been 2 years and we've contacted this individual 100 times, and they just kind of, like I said, I guess like I said, it's just those relationships, some of them, and then some of them we've never, it's not an enforcement action type of thing, and we just know that that's not what, that person doesn't need to be in jail,
Mhm.
but we just don't have, we don't have the tools,
Mhm.
to make them,
Right.
we can't make somebody get help,
Right.
which is unfortunate because we see a lot of people we'd love to help,
Mhm.
and we will make it a priority. Let's go out and look for, Patricia, or let's go out and look, right, we have one right now, Annette, she's, in her 70s, and yeah, and we don't, yeah, we have, and that's the thing, we have a lot of, she ain't the only, we have a lot in their 70s and 80s that are, out and unsheltered and living in parks,
And that's the thing, that we had places for them to go.
Right.
We've actually put them in those places, and unfortunately, they either do something about them get out of those places,
Mhm.
or they use those places up and they can't go anymore. Or
Mhm.
especially with the one he's talking about, then she had a family member that wants to pick her up and take her to Montana. But she won't go. It's out on the street in 110-degree weather. And there's nothing, I mean, we can't force it.
I had a client at one time where I was trying to get him in that housing and all stuff and help him get a job, and he told me, he goes, I'll take the job. He goes, like, man, I've been out in the elements for most of my life. He goes, I can't make it on the inside.
it's so hard to because they become comfortable, and I mean, hard to understand, but
Yeah, and it's hard for us
It's their
to
fault.
understand because I would
Exactly.
take it out there.
exactly.
So I'm wondering, do you think that more housing is a solution, or, because it sounds like there are beds, there are places for them to go, they just don't want to go there. So what do you think?
I wish I had
What-
an answer.
Yeah.
I interject a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Something that I've noticed myself personally, is my cousin was homeless. He just went into a rehab and got his started to get his life together a little bit. But something that I've noticed, even from people in other countries, you're able to do shit. You're able to do what the fuck you want.
Mhm.
Whether it's going and growing some food and starting to sell it on the road, whatever the hell it is, making trinkets, whatever, you can do that. there's too many regulations and restrictions around people wanting to do shit. Just wanting to start their own thing, you know, and right now, Dottie's and this wildfire shit's another thing for me hitting home because I know a lot of people who had their own bars, had their own little, home mom and pop thing, and they weren't able to pass it on because of the whole law with the thing's gonna go to the state, it's not gonna go to who they want them to go to because it goes into that thing first. So why the fuck would I go through all this extra shit, do all this extra stuff to give it to the state anyway? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to someone like myself who isn't all like trying to learn all this extra shit. You know what I mean? I want to do me, bro. Like, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, really, that's to me personally what it is because I get aggravated. I don't know you guys, you know what I mean? I don't know the police, I don't know the senator and the Congress. Why the fuck do I gotta get involved with them to stop my shit? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. But I understand the licensing, I understand all that shit, a little bit, but to me, that's where the frustration comes from because you want to do you know what I mean? And other people, again, people come from other places, they're vendors, you know what I mean? They want to do that, but that's why they're here in the first place. Most of them weren't able to do that where they were at because the cartels would mess with them or because of like, something that I make fun of with my cousins, because, our parents come here and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys are running from the cartel just to come and meet the other cartel. Because it's basically the same shit, and I laugh at it, but it's a serious thing, and to me, that's what limits a lot of people from having hope, from having like, ambition to want to do more, because it's like, what's the point? That's constant, that's something that I'm fighting right now with the whole cannabis thing, because someone who was doing that, and I was trying to do the gray area thing and get it going, and I got raided, and it's something that's still ongoing. I'm hoping to be able to meet with the senator and the congressman or a panel they're putting together on September or something like that. But like other places in the world have taken notice to us, touting ourselves as the best, touting ourselves as a place with hope and all that stuff, being the light bearer. And then where is it? You know what I'm saying? People get here and are frustrated as fuck because they can't do nothing. They're ending up in jail over a shopping cart. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do you get to making and creating a life for yourself when you can't even pick yourself up from your fucking bootstraps? There is no fucking bootstrap. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't know. That's just my personal view on shit.
I made a couple a few years back that they came from different states. But they were like, if it was really hot over here, they went to Florida or to another state. And they didn't have a house to live. They lived in the van they had. But they came over here and stayed in a shelter. And they said they go in the street and in the street for places to ask for money. And she said, we make more money over here than everywhere. And we don't have to pay taxes. We don't have to pay nothing. No house, nothing, no bills, and we're living really good. And we travel around the whole country, and we don't have to pay anything. And they used to stay in the shelters in North Las Vegas for a while. And then at that time when they closed the shelter, they used to go to ask for money. And he said, oh my God, how can somebody live like that?
It could be lucrative. It really can. I mean, we encountered an individual who had $6,500 in his shopping cart.
Wow.
And, yeah, and it's not uncommon. We've multiple individuals that have thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And yes, it took us what, 3.5 hours to count it all?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's just from
So fun.
stuff, yeah. Yeah, it can be lucrative. Depending on the side of town and, so. Yeah, exactly. And that particular with the 6,500, he wasn't panhandling. He would just sit at the park on Aliante, Nature Discovery Park, by the playground, and the parents would go with their kids and they'd see this gentleman. And it's because his was a mental health thing. And we don't believe to this day, because we still see him. We make it a point to say hello to him. And we know jail's not the place for Phil. We try to take, he won't even take a bottle of water from us, And same thing with the home team. It's not a law enforcement thing. It's just, So, but in his situation, he would just sit there. He wanted to sit by the lake and then the duck, and people would just give him toys.
I'm still here.
Yeah, because when his clothes were disintegrating off his body, but he had trash bag. He had like what, 3 parts, 4 parts?
Full of brand new clothes.
Brand new jeans, tags, Levi's, Timberlands, Nikes. And again, he said, and he told us, he's like, hey, can you grab my money? And we're like, don't have money. You know, he's like, grab my money. So we go in there and literally grocery bag after grocery bag of, yes, 20s, 40, yeah, 50s. This, he had, you know,
And he had $1,100 worth of gift cards for
He wouldn't-
restaurants around the bay. He went
right across the street, Subway, KFC.
Wow,
And he's like the poster child for service resistant.
right.
And again, to this day, like I said, we know where he's at. We can go right to the intersection and we're gonna find him within 20 minutes. And like I said, he will not, I mean, you don't even want a bottle of water from you, you know, so.
He still got $6,500. So all he has is an ID.
I asked him, I said, Phil, you saved up another 6,500 gift? Almost. So I don't know if you're gonna.
Yeah, his bank, huh?
Yeah, that's what the woman said, that they make very good money doing that. And I was asking, what are you guys gonna do when you get older, that you cannot travel? Well, we have a very good amount of money with us. And nobody thought they had money because they were driving a gold van, and they were always not with nice clothes. And nobody knew that they had money in the van. And I said, oh my God, I hope she's not telling this to everybody, because they're gonna get jumped in the street. And
That's what we were worried about, Phil, because we're like, man, if any of it, just people knew that he had that kind of money, he's a small guy, you know, he's old, it's like, he can't. You know, but like you mentioned, and Bill wasn't asking for it. I can't imagine the ones who are out there actively pursuing you know, the contribution and the.
yeah, I don't know if you hear the case of these two twins that they used to put a thing in front and ask for money. And then later on, at the end of the day, they walked to their cars and they had a Mercedes.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
cars, yeah. And they were with a bag of money they took, and they weren't pregnant. They just took the thing from the.
Yeah, sure.
I said, oh my God, how awful.
So is there, which I guess there isn't, because it's like, I guess part of the solution of that is not giving people money, because I will say, I used to be one that would always give money, and then getting into the nonprofit field and seeing the amount of resources out there, that now I'm like, no, I'd rather give you the one sheet of all the places you can go than to give you money, because you're not working. You're not working for the money, and I'm not gonna give you the money that I worked for when you don't have to do this. This is a choice. I'm not gonna pay you for your choice.
I think,
I'm not funding your retirement.
yeah,
Huh?
I still give people.
you can't control what they do with it, you know, it's what, you know, if it's from your heart and, you know.
I
that's how I
don't
feel.
belong to a church, that's my kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah, and that's, my thing is, so.
Not a lot, that's the, you know.
Yeah, I think the thing that was most surprising to me is that they all have income, for the most part. The more major percentage, you know, they all have the SSI coming in. And, you know, I had one yesterday, she said, well, I'm hungry, and I was like, well, I can take, well, I got $800 in food stamp, you know. But, you know, with the SSI, I think it's between $800 to $1,200 that they get on top of the food stamps. And then, you know, and every one of them has a cell phone.
Exactly.
If not 5. We've
Exactly.
had, I think, we'll ask them, you know, hey, what's the way we communicate?
Mhm.
How can I get a hold of you for this? You have a cell phone? I got 5 cell phones.
Mhm.
You know, I got data for 5, you know, 2 years. Which is great, you know, they need those because that's a hurdle, you know, if they
Yes,
have
yes.
communication,
Exactly.
you know, but yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's a unique problem, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wish I had the answer, you know, I think it's definitely a mental health, and I think that the biggest, you know, some of the biggest issues are the mental health
Mhm.
and the substance abuse. Sometimes, you know, one creates the other, sometimes they don't, you know, sometimes they're, you know, individual of each other, but you know, that's from what I saw, it's, you know, it's the drug problem and it's a mental health issue.
So how often are you finding that there's violence and altercations involved with it? Like, how often are you running into that? Or do you?
Are you talking between?
Just like with the homeless community?
Yes, yes, yes.
In between each other?
between each other and with the businesses, do you see an uptick in, like vandalism and violence and stuff like that? Like I said, cause CCC is the one where over in our area, there's been, you know, multiple, vandalism by, executive director was assaulted last year, all that kind of stuff. So are you seeing an uptick in that?
I wouldn't say an uptake. I think that there's always that there when it comes to when someone is using substances or when someone has mental issues, mental illness issues, there's always gonna be something there. Something could happen at any time. I don't think we've seen any, you know, major spike in it. I
Okay.
just think it's always gonna be there. There's always gonna be instances when it happens.
I think the amazing thing is how well they take care of each other. You know, they're a very close-knit community. They're very I don't know, selfless, I guess. You know what I mean? You see that a lot, which was surprising. That was another thing that was surprising to me. And there is violence within the community, but they have their own fault. Just as surprising is that they take care of each other. You know, hey, you know, they have a mom of the community. They have a, hey, mom, you know, you need help with that, or you need, what do you need? You know, and they, you know, they lean on each other, and so we do see that a lot. Or, you know, certain areas we deal with, there's one guy that's kind of in charge, and you know, he's kind of like the liaison for that area. He comes, we have a good relationship with him, and he's kind of like our, you know, so we utilize that sometimes, and it's helpful. So
There's, what state is it? Where is the state where they made all drugs legal?
Colombia and Peru.
No, it's the state.
Oh,
State. Oregon, yeah.
Areas that were legal for drug use.
Right, and like,
they call it like a,
Let's say it's some zones.
not an immunity zone. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what, and when you were talking about like the head of it stuff, cause I saw a documentary on it, and that's what they were trying to go into, the communities and try and get people help and stuff like that. And like, in order for them to enter the community, they have to talk to the head guy, and it's like, you know, this is why we're here, this is what we're doing. Yeah, and it's like, it's very much like back to the Wild West kind of thing,
I
yeah.
don't think anyone would let that happen in this state for some reason. I think that once you lose control at that point, then there's nothing they can stop you from getting help to someone. They can stop you from medical attention to someone. I don't think that's something that.
Yeah, I've seen on that one that it's like been very detrimental to the police.
Yes,
It's not
But
just
some people are okay with that.
It's not just that, it's the fact that if someone's hurt and you don't let someone in to come help them.
I think that was the issue that they were running
Yeah.
into.
Right,
Those areas,
that-
like people
that's-
were dying in there, and it's like we couldn't
Exactly.
get in to render aid or
That's
get.
the thing for me, like, if I'm in need of help, I want somebody to come help. me.
Absolutely, I think
You
that's,
know,
yeah.
When my granddaughter is at school, if somebody comes in, shoot the place up, I want there to be people that are gonna come save her. You know?
exactly.
And so, like, I don't know, I think conversations like this, where we're talking as community members, like, my question is like. If y'all had, like, woke up tomorrow and things were like better in your department, like, what would that look like? What are the major things that would help? Whether that be like more community involvement, more funding, more officers, more like, you know.
All of the
Yeah, all of that. I mean, the community involvement, community involvement, when the community's involved, everything gets better. When there's voices saying what they need, it's everything gets better. You can't help the community unless the community tells you what they need. Right? More officers would definitely be, I mean,
Ideal, yeah.
ideal. I mean, when you're waiting for someone to get help, I mean, that's never a good feeling. When you need help and you don't know how long it's gonna take to get there. And funding would be amazing too. I mean, the more funding, the better trained you are. The better chance you are to help somebody, the more chance you are to get the right view and the right training to be able to see what someone needs. I mean, all of that would be great.
I've
And it's
heard
a,
from Metro officers too, that like the support they get from like crisis intervention teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really helps them get to their actual work than having to deal with stuff that they're not really equipped to
Yeah,
deal
I
with,
mean,
so.
it's the way that it's gone the past couple of years, there's a lot of emphasis has been put on police officers.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to determine whether someone needs mental help or not. I mean, at what point was I trained as a psychiatrist to determine if someone needs mental help or not? I mean, that should be something that someone else should be determining, not me.
Yeah.
But it's been since, like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and the entire 20 years, more and more responsibility has been thrown on the police officer for them to figure things out. And it's just like, and it's been said a lot of times, police officers have more training than doctors and lawyers combined. So we go through more training than any. And it's just, it's a lot to put on someone to make a split-second decision in some cases when there's that much responsibility.
The fire department, they have the paramedics, they have the medical back that they're not equipped to do, they can't do what they can't do illegal, they can't do it else in legal 2000. But paramedics can't do illegal 2000, they're waiting for us to show up to tell us, hey, legal that guy. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you know what I mean? Let's see, you know, and that happens so much, you know, in our group homes in the community, in our,
Because they're not enforcing law
yeah,
and illegal.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
law.
yeah.
But, okay. That's good information.
and again, that's changed a lot just because of the liability with the legal, you know, the legal issue. You know, are we gonna interject ourselves into a situation? And so we have to tread lightly, you know, on those scenarios, because, you know, if this person is a danger to himself, you know, we have to take into account, where is he at? Is he in his own home? You know, are we gonna interject ourselves into this individual's home when he's experiencing a crisis, if there's nobody else who is at risk? Or, you know, because what we're seeing is you turn around and you can be sued, you know, whether, you know, somebody ends up hurt, that individual ends up hurt, we can end up hurt, you know. And
There's a lot of situations now that say if someone is in a mental crisis that's gonna hurt themselves and they're by themselves in their own house, and we show up, that we are just not, we're just gonna leave.
Wow.
We aren't gonna go in the house. We aren't gonna go in and get them. We're gonna leave because we've been determined that if we interject ourselves, it makes the situation worse. We can't have that. So
you know, if there's an operator, the chance that it can escalate, or the potential that it can escalate because of our presence, and that very well can happen. You know, if a person's already experiencing a crisis, you know what I mean, and now all of a sudden we show up in uniforms, we're not, you know, we're the last thing sometimes, you know, they want to see.
yeah, it's one thing that we've talked about this change. I mean, before we would have went in no matter what, because we're community caretakers at that point, we're gonna do whatever we can to save someone's life. But the way to look at it now is that suicide is not illegal. So why are the police officers going to need to stop something that's not illegal?
So you're the only ones that can put them on a 72-hour hold, and you're not allowed to. Like,
Doctors,
stay.
doctors,
Psychiatrists can do it as well.
Right, but they're not going out to.
to the house, yeah.
No, but like we said, there's no one else in the
Yes.
house and they're by themselves, and that'll be a supervisor call at that point that says, we feel like the supervisor is gonna escalate the situation, then more than likely we'll bond and intervene at that point.
So if there was, because I've seen a lot of like crisis intervention teams, stuff like that, that deal with people who are in crisis. But they're usually like, it's usually an outside source, right? Not
Sometimes they'll call in on their own, but yeah, usually like a psychiatrist.
like your department doesn't have a psychiatrist or like somebody who's. Do you think that would be a helpful thing if there was a division in the police force that were trained in therapists that were trained in?
It would help in certain situations, but again, I mean, we're not gonna send a psychiatrist into a house with someone who's having a mental issue and we're not going into this.
No, but I mean, if they were a trained police officer, but also a therapist,
Well,
maybe a
yeah.
unicorn.
You're going back to-
Scenario, but like,
Yeah.
hey, if we've got big dollars to put a, sign-on bonus.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that would have to be something that.
Is that from the fear of possibly the person wanting to commit suicide by cop type of
It's
ordeal?
that-
Or it's anything?
Or they would hurt
They
themselves.
hurt themselves.
So we've seen it to where you enter, and then we might not even do anything, but just our presence from there can be determined that that's the reason why he harmed himself at that point, because you came into his house, you came into his, so it can be, I guess, construed that way. So it's just, you know, you can kind of, there's so many different scenarios. It's just like I said, it's very liability driven. We have to think about all of those things, you know, as well as, you know, we don't want to violate anybody's rights. We don't want to, there's a lot to think about in those situations.
Is,
Respective private property might help out with that, that's what I'm saying, like, if they just free this stuff up, like the vendors being able to vend in front of their house, that's gonna be awesome. You know what I mean, just free things up, let people do, you know what I mean? Like,
That's above my pay grade.
right, that's,
but my,
um. Do you find that that's why it's getting hard to fill positions, because they don't want
If you.
to deal with all of
Yeah,
that?
you look at any social media, anything. like that,
Exactly.
There's a lot of stuff that comes along with being a police officer.
Right.
And a lot of people don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
I mean, in a lot, in the past couple of years, it's not like we're respected like these.
right.
So it's not like being a police officer is something like, oh, you go out and like, hold your chest.
Right.
Like an honor job. Yeah.
Exactly, right.
A lot of times now people won't even tell you, they won't even say that they're a police officer. They won't go out and they won't even tell you what they do.
Oh, that's sad.
sorry, yeah, I know personally, me growing up, I felt that North Las Vegas was a gang, you know, cause I've been getting a fight with cops every day. I fight them, I broke a cop's arm in 3 places in Metro. I really didn't give a fuck, that's why I told you, that's like, I was somebody, like, I really did not care, I would see you guys, I would love that stuff. Cause I was gangbanging, you know what I mean, like, you guys would come at me, I would go actually, like, that's what it was on site, like, we didn't care. Until I started, you know, one of my best friends was like, bro, what you're doing? I was facing 15 to life, 30 years. He was like, bro, what you're doing, your family, you know, you gotta start reacting. You can't be like that. Like, none of us are like that. You gotta start thinking, bro. It took me 9 months sitting in solitary confinement before I started rationalizing a little bit more. Like, you know, maybe these guys aren't so bad, you know. How can I start fitting more in? Because that's how I felt. I felt I was out and I was trying to. I didn't want to come in, you know what I mean, because of all this extra shit that I'm bringing up now at this meeting, you know what I mean. But you gotta start working the job because the money isn't there. You know what I mean? You work a 9 to 5, the money's not there that you make when you're doing other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I could make $400 or $500 just on my couch on the phone, and it's gonna come to me. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason for me to go get a job. Like. And then, you know, other than the cops coming down and being the thug, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it just doesn't correlate, like, and then you don't allow someone to start their own business, I'm never gonna see that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're never gonna see that kind of money unless they're able to start their own business, they're paying taxes and all that, you know what I mean? The extra stuff, but it's just like, for you to get that kind of mindset going, first you gotta see that there's a door of possibility for you to come into society or community or whatever you want to think, you know?
Well, that's why part of this legislative session was disheartening, because there was like, you know, some of the protections. Were not extended that were, you know, from COVID and stuff, and just our eviction process is just so unusual and absurd.
It's a nightmare. That's one of we deal with that a lot, and it's where there is, you know, because it's a civil matter, you know, but at the end of the day, we,
You have to
again,
enforce it.
yeah, we get into these situations and, yeah, I mean, and during COVID, it was a
Oh,
nightmare.
wow.
It was a nightmare,
Yeah.
you know, for everybody involved, you know, and it seems that it doesn't work for the people it should work for, and then the people who it should work for, it doesn't, and yeah.
I mean, the fact that you can just give somebody a day or a couple of days to find someplace in an oversaturated market, you know, where to go or knowing if you're gonna get your,
Sure,
you know, deposits back and stuff. It's just, that's just impossible.
Yeah.
And
we see this.
that was all. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was in the session this time around, but yeah, it definitely could use a.
Yeah, there was a lot of missed opportunities in the housing department. So. You know, because all of these things factor into each other that make it harder for y'all.
Absolutely.
You know, they keep me in business, but
Keeps us busy.
yeah, keeps us busy, keeps us employed, but it's, you know.
And with landlords again, and like on the flip side too, not there, we run into the ones where people don't realize you invite somebody into your home, you know, out of the kindness of your heart. And within 3 days, they're a resident now. And now it's like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, you know, and during COVID, you'd see where now, you know, with the moratorium, You know, you invited this, you know, I invited this guy was homeless, he was like my cousin's friend, and now all of a sudden this dude is, you're stuck with this guy. And there's nothing you can do, and then you saw, you know, I was kind of just paying attention to the news, you saw violence start to uptick with landlord tenant situations, and it just was going, you know. And that's why I said, I felt like the people that, you know, should be protected by the landlord tenant law. You know, as far like you mentioned, you know, last minute, notice and things like that, those, you know, that's not right, you know, people need more of a opportunity to look for housing and to look for other arrangements or to, you know, make those arrangements. But then you got the ones who, there's a lot who know the system too,
Yes.
because they know once I get in there, and we're running into that with our emergency housing,
Oh, wow.
because that's kind of a,
Yeah, that's always been a thing, with
Mhm.
the emergency housing, so like, because I think that there's ways that we could utilize, and some organizations are utilizing like empty hotel rooms, stuff like that. Not necessarily for like people experiencing homelessness, but like victims of crime.
sure,
You know, people are coming around to the idea that men are victimized too. And so like all the shelters, the domestic violence shelters are all based around women and violence against women. And men are victims too, and so now some of the shelters have like those hotel vouchers.
Sure.
So that they can give somebody who wouldn't fit into a women's shelter because men aren't allowed,
yeah.
that they could find a place to be safe and, you know.
There's so many
so
people who aren't shelter appropriate,
Yeah.
you know, and there's for many reasons. And those, you know, that's why we need stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and when they're running into that with emergency housing, like I said, I don't think, you know, it was a work in progress, I guess you can say. So when they house somebody and now all of a sudden they're like, that person, I ain't getting out.
Right.
You
It's
know,
like well, I don't know how it is now, but like, it used to be, well, we can give you emergency shelter for like 27 days.
exactly, because once you go over,
Yeah,
you become a resident.
From hotels and stuff. I know hotels, like, there's a lot of hotels in North Las Vegas that once you hit 28 days, you can room.
yeah.
So you're no
Yes,
longer
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
You guys haven't seen more the homeless now that the eviction moratorium protection is gone.
We saw a lot of people out, you know, from, that were victim, losing their jobs and, you know, because of the conditions from COVID. So yeah, the moratorium, once that ended, we saw a lot more people on the streets. For a while there, we were running into families. And still, it's unfortunate, but I mean, we still, you know, more or less when we run into the, like the squatting issues, because we deal with a lot of squatting stuff as well. We'll run into families and, you know, they've been squatting in homes and living without power and so, yeah, we run into a lot.
And those are the ones that you're able to fast track and get housed and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
because,
stuff.
yeah, if you're in a relationship or you know, and you have children, that's one of that would be
That's
something that
another
make you, you're
scenario
not
to
shelter
start.
appropriate in that.
Right.
You know, we need to find you another, and that's kind of the emergency housing, you know.
Yeah, I think our shelters in this area are really starting to come around to the fact that there are families, there are men, like there are men
Right.
that have their children that need shelter, you know?
Yeah,
And I always joke about it because I'm a lesbian in the room fighting defense rights, but
right.
advocating for their shelter, but like it's true, we just don't think about these things. You know, society says this is the way things are, and men don't take care of their children, and they're not victims of violence, and you know, all this stuff, and so we set our whole society up, and the whole service industry around this particular issue up for one set of people, and it's moms and mothers with their children, but there's also, you know, fathers who are good fathers that are raising their kids that sometimes are in those situations too.
Absolutely. That's another hurdle that just made me think of is. Good, how are you?
Good.
That's fun.
Yes, you are. Welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Sorry, we were supposed to be here 15 minutes ago, right? Sorry, we just came from the airport. So we just did a class there.
Okay. well,
Thank you for having us, guys.
But you're talking-
It's been a long day.
Thank you. And coffee hour North Las Vegas was going over.
Oh,
something.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I received you.
Let me try to. Yes, I think I thought you were phone yesterday.
Yeah.
For sure.
And-
Sorry. For sure. You guys, we need more. We utilize Vegas strong a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Reach out to you.
Yeah, you know.
We can get you all, set up because you said. Okay.
Thanks for coming out.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Please do email me that information and
Absolutely.
I do submit it to everybody and then, yeah, and being able to get in touch with the home team as well, and having them come out and speak. Thank you guys so much. All right, so Metro has arrived and they're gonna be doing their presentation, so we're gonna get them set up. They have a slideshow presentation to do there, so we're gonna get them set up in just a moment.
What class? Or what? What's it called? Home team?
No,
We don't have it. We're like working. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
See you about January 14th.
Well, yeah, we. But yeah, it's.
We're told like.
Yeah. Well, only because like our team is considered it, I think it's like outreach team, like it's literally called home outreach team. We have a civilian side of our. If it's not, then you technically, you can be like, well, that's not what we're advertising.
Yeah. That's hard.
Good job security for you guys. Yeah. That's what we're doing. How long did that go? 2.5 years.
And then it's right around the corner before you get to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you're coming up on it. Ooh.
Either we're new indispensable or hey, anyone else they want up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we work really closely. Since he's hired.
Right.
That's kind of more.
Thank you. So, this is being recorded. We didn't have, this is a change in venue, so there's not as many people as is normally here. And I don't think everybody saw that it was a change in venue, but it is being recorded and once we get it up and going on our website, so then
Yeah.
we'll be able to post it.
Okay.
And then let me see.
How many people do you have on the Zoom?
Right now, actually it's been volleying between like 3 and 2 and all that kind of stuff. Right now, I think it's just 1. The other 2 dropped off at some point.
So if you go down to it, it'll be, so yeah, the B,
Here.
go to HOT, second one down, and then it'll be the top one.
Okay.
Do you have a clicker by chance?
I do not.
Oh, that's fine. We could, I could,
I do,
could
my
put it-
mouse is right over there though.
oh, okay.
Actually, somebody took it,
Oh,
but
sure. Okay.
yes, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Last time I was,
What kind of food? We generally do like snacks, like chips
and
and stuff.
foods, and then we also got vegetable and bread.
Okay, generally, we don't really, because we're more like an outreach team, we're kind of out in the cars all day, so in terms of like food, we love just doing like water bottles, maybe like a bag of chips. Yeah, that's usually a little bit easier to stuff other back in the car.
You know where, it says presentation? To get you out of this screen, where it'll be the presentation screen?
You know what? Should be this one, right? Did I not press the right button?
Okay, perfect. And then let me share it.
You want me to email this to you?
That would be awesome too.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. There we go.
Would I be able to steal it? Where do you want me to stand during the presentation?
I think, yeah.
Just not on the table.
Right.
I mean, if you wanna stand on the table, that would probably be the best.
It wouldn't be his first time, so.
See if I can get.
He might.
Actually, if you can be
That's where
like
he gets
right there, that would be awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, that's right. Did you grab? You know what?
Right.
Let me do, whoops. I don't know why it wasn't wanting to.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what did I just do? Oh, there it goes.
Okay.
Okay, so let me do this. Previous, sweet, okay.
Okay.
Well, did you want us to start doing an introduction? Did you guys want to tell us a little bit about who you guys are?
So we make up various nonprofits. I was wanting to get everybody together with the various nonprofits, hoping as it goes on, businesses as well to get together with Metro and North Las Vegas to basically address the homeless population as far as what resources that we have, what we can do with the encounters that we have, because there's a lot of resources out there that we don't know about. And more are coming, and like we just learned with North Las Vegas, a lot of different things that they had come up that we didn't know about. So basically, what we have to offer for you and what resources you guys have for us. Like, we had no idea about the hot team, and we didn't know that there was a homeless outreach team with Metro. So just that whole aspect of it, just everything.
Okay, perfect. And you're a representative of Golden Rainbow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's your target audience? Like, do you have something that you because I know a lot of different agencies will be like,
Yes.
we want certain clients that have XYZ requirements.
Yes, so we provide financial assistance and emergency housing for people living with and affected by HIV and AIDS.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are you working with Ryan White and
Hopper,
Ryan?
yes,
Hopper, so you have a Hopper Fund?
yes, we have the Ryan White and Hopper funds.
Okay.
Ryan White Part A, yes,
How long have you guys been around?
Oh, we've been around since 1987.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
awesome. Based here in Vegas, or is
Yes.
this like a nationwide thing?
Nope, just based here in Vegas.
Okay.
We were started by the entertainment community. There was a performer who contracted HIV, and he wound up dying in his family's garage. And so the entertainment community was like, we never want that to happen again. So they band together, they put on their first fundraising event, which was called Golden Rainbow. That was the performance that they did. They raised money, and originally it started out with letting people die with dignity, but now we've evolved with medications and stuff like that. Then we've evolved into helping people live with dignity.
Okay, gotcha. Now, are you helping out people that, like, is one of the requirements they have to be homeless, or is that they can still be housed and you can still
Yes.
help them with bills and medication?
Yes, we help with utility
Awesome.
assistance, rental assistance, moving assistance. We also have programs and stuff. There are Hopper program. The only requirement for us is that they have to have HIV diagnosis, and they have to have a case manager, because we do work referral based only. So as long as they have a case manager and they do have a diagnosis of HIV, then we can help them.
So what agencies do you guys partner with?
pretty much all the agencies, that help the HIV community. Is as long as they have a case manager, then we receive referrals. We do a lot with AFAN, we do a lot with AHF, CCC, just different organizations.
Try to be as well.
Track B, we do track B, I'm one of the directors of the LGBTQ sector. And so we work with y'all too, I don't know, 'cause we don't have these managers, but people come through our clinic and then make referrals to you guys, I don't know. how that
Right.
works, 'cause I don't work on that side,
Well, you guys have,
but we do have track B in there.
You're from the center,
Mhm.
okay?
And so we, at the center, we would refer for housing and stuff like that, we would refer to like y'all. But we do have our own Ryan White funding. We do HIV testing, work with, like I said, Track B, and, we also have an advocacy, center advocacy network. So we train, victims advocates. We have an 80-hour course, it's a nationally certified, course, so people who take the training for free. Get that national certification, we have a 24-hour hotline. And so through all that, even though our funding through that is, VOCA and VAWA funding. And a lot of that has been messed up in the last couple of years through the federal government, so those funds are kind of diminishing. So, but sometimes we have, the ability to provide emergency housing, to people who are victims of crime, and we work with the victims of crime unit, with Metro. And we can help with like grocery cards, bus passes, stuff like that. And many other things that we do at the center, but those are probably the ones that.
yeah, we think awesome too. What else do we have? Hi.
Hi, we are from ACRC, Nation Community Resource Center. We also work with Nevada Health League, helping people with health insurance.
Okay.
And we are new in the community, probably 8 years. I know everybody has been for so long. We are like 9 years in the community. But
Okay, and where do you guys physically, do you have an office or?
yeah, we have an office in Flamingo, close to Maryland, by the library, right there is.
Oh, or near the mountain?
Yeah, but we go around to different offices helping, we also volunteered and we have events and some of that. And even for people to help into the different communities, like with her, if somebody comes to us, we refer to her or to different groups or to the center. And we help with the food for the adults, for the senior, how they call it? Folding groceries. And yeah, and we help with the electricity. With Nevada Power, yeah, with for the elderly.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the one, yeah, they help out with like bills, like if they have past due bills, yeah, that is great, that is awesome.
Yeah, we help with
Well,
that.
you have the event coming up soon, there's an event.
Reach that, yeah.
Yeah,
October.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's if they're 62 and up,
Yeah, correct, 62 and up.
excellent.
And we also, we have different services, a lot of different services.
Do you have a target audience that you generally try to assist?
Well, our office is called Asian Community Resource Center, but don't let the name fool you because we help anybody. We don't see color, the race or the
Wow,
background, nothing.
okay,
Whoever comes, we help.
that's great.
Yeah.
We help everybody too, not just the LGBT.
Yeah, because sometimes people think because you have a name in your group, you want to
Right,
help
right.
only that, no, not everybody. Yeah, so if you send anybody to our office, we can help them with food, with that. Even we have a lady from social service from Yeah. They were coming through our office on Monday and Wednesday, and she took their applications and help them with Medicaid and food stamps and all of that. Yeah, that we help with that too. Yeah.
And you have a card?
I just gave my last one.
Oh.
To the other.
When we walk out, we can probably grab one. Yeah, that'll.
That sounds good. Yeah, I thought I had more in my purse, but don't. Sorry.
She's from East Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, she's nice. I'm Nancy Taylor, I'm one of the directors of East Valley Family Services, and we are one of the now 3 family resource centers, state funded in Southern New Mexico.
Nice. You had a long drive to get on over here.
But we help with just about everything. We're a one-stop shop and we help everybody. We also don't have any segregation of race.
Gotcha. I love it.
Yeah, we send you a lot of people.
I know when I was on the MORE team, we used to go to you guys a lot for birth certificates.
Yep.
That was kind of a big deal of being able to get people that process started because there are different agencies that use them, but we were like, you know, let's try East Family Services. We had nothing but success with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Question for you. You only help people with birth certificates for this country, not from other countries, right? Yes. Okay, yeah, because I know a lot of people from other countries that they ask,
Yeah.
do you know? Well, I'll send them to the immigration, yeah.
That's what we tried to do
Hmm.
downtown.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
That's
okay,
right.
okay, it's good to know.
I know we took a tour of the Mexican consulate and they said that they can help out with obviously like Mexican.
Just Mexican,
Yeah,
yeah.
correct. But if you have anyone like that and they're like, hey, I need to get my, birth certificate, definitely. The Mexican consulate's that's a huge,
Mexican consulate here is awesome.
yeah, we took a tour. I was like, I thought this was this nice. I think it was great.
It is
It's a good
really nice.
facility.
Yeah.
There's a
So-
lot of good community outreach too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
had like a
stayed with
mobile
everybody.
health unit that came on out too. I forgot the name of it, but it was awesome.
Annie said she's gonna bring some more of you around for a tour for our place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tour.
Yeah, I think last
We
time we
also
took it
do
to was.
Golden groceries, we also have a food pantry, we do, utility assistance, birth certificates, IDs.
Yes,
We have
still
different
waiting for
programs.
assistance or security deposit. Still funding
We
that.
don't have that this year. We need it this
I
year.
guess your deposit is, interesting.
That's just for utilities.
Park Magnums, is it a walk-in facility?
Huh?
Is it a walk-in facility?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember you had a clothing pantry. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Just put it-
No, we applied for them all this year, we only got the utilities. Oh, yeah. Oh, we do every year.
I remember you said, or well, then when we took the tour then, it was, you guys had like a clothing like closet. Do you still have that?
We have upgraded it.
Oh,
It's called Curly's Closet and it's basically, we don't allow the clients to go in there because what we were having was they would go in and, explore everything.
Yeah.
They see other things that, oh, well, we want that and take it. So what we do is we have a manned closet now where they have to fill out a voucher of what they need and then we will pull it.
I like it. Smart. Oh, perfect.
So we're always looking for donations.
I got a question for you, sorry. Do you only work with certain zip codes?
On certain things. The state designated FRC is just east and central. But then a lot of our other grants like EFSP and that's countywide.
No, okay.
It depends on what you're coming for.
I remember before I sent a client and told me they don't help me because they only help certain other. zip
Well,
codes.
there's the others, FRC, so the first county. So you, with a family resource center, you should go to the FRC that serves your zip codes.
Sure. Okay. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Well, I'll have Sergeant Reese will kind of give a little introduction on their team and then we'll hear a little bit from Dr. Wilson and then I've got PowerPoint that I'd love to present to you guys, so.
Just real quick, I'll make it brief, but I'm Sergeant Reese, so I oversee the homeless outreach team but I've been with the agency for like 22 years. I've been doing the outreach thing for about the past year and a half. I really like it because it's totally different and it's not enforcement. I've tried arresting my way out of problems and I kind of like just doing the outreach thing and letting other people do what the running and gunning. Been there, done that. I'm happy where I am now. But the answer that Metro had, basically, we've got a huge homeless problem in our city, in our nation, everywhere. And so as a contributing factor to try and combat this, or at least help with address the problems of homelessness, they created a homeless outreach team about 5 years ago, and I've been overseeing it for the past year and a half. And we seriously just, all we do is go out with service providers. We're out in the field. We don't even really do a lot of office time, honestly. We do this kind of thing as often as we can. We just came from the airport doing the same thing, but the whole point is, though, to kind of get our message out of what we can do to help. We're very small in numbers. I mean, that's our whole team right there for all of Clark County. So we have to work with other agencies and other parts of our agency as well to help get the message out. But we literally work in tandem with the other providers. So Officer Bybee is going to kind of explain in depth what we do and let us know how we can help, and our contact information will be on there. Okay. We do a lot through email and text and all that stuff. So, but if we can help you, please help us, and we'll make it all come together the best we can. Right? Exactly. So more research, the better. It's just a matter of remembering who does what and trying to stay in the line. I mean, seriously, I know there's so many times we've kind of missed the boat. It's like, we should have known about that 3 days ago when I was talking to someone. So that kind of thing. Yeah. So it'd be like to be nice to just have a memory. She's got the memory of it. She knows everything and everybody, but we try. So that's who we are. And I selected this fine officer, Officer Bybee, to kind of go through the presentation because he loves doing it and he does a really good job. You're welcome.
Dr. Wilson, would you like to do an introduction?
I'm Dr. Annie Wilson, with Metro Police Department, homeless liaison. I'm not gonna say a whole lot, so we can go ahead and get started with the great presentation that Officer Bybee is going to do.
Thank you. Well, I'm Officer Baron Bybee. I've been with Metro for 8 years. I was born and raised here, so I take a lot of pride in the city. I actually have family that is homeless on the streets, addicted to drugs. So I take this kind of very personal. I have a very personal, like vested interest in outreach, and I absolutely love this. So this is our team, just like Sergeant Reese was saying. You've got 7 officers. You have Sergeant Reese, and then we've got our amazing homeless liaison, Dr. Annie Wilson. She is a huge connect between a police department and community. All the success that we have is derived because she has put in a lot of legwork. She's been with the agency for 17 years. I've been on this team for 2 years, and we couldn't have done any of this without Dr. Wilson. So big, huge thanks to her.
Very well known.
Yes.
Knows her name.
Everywhere I go,
we just drop her name if we want to. Sometimes that's all we do.
What's so funny is I remember one time we had an issue trying to house a family, and they had young kids and they were living in a van, and I think it was like last summer, 2 summers ago. It was very hot, and we were like, we cannot have this family on the street. So I remember we contacted an agency and we said, hey, we need to get one of your beds to house this family. And they said, oh, I'm so sorry, we're actually full. We tried to exhaust our resources. We called Dr. Wilson and she said, call this agency. Actually, we already did. They said they're full. She goes, I'll call back in 5 minutes. We call back and they're like, oh, we got a bed available. Hey, we forgot we had this one. So her name has a lot of weight in the community. That's why I say, like, we couldn't be as successful as we are without Dr. Wilson. So thank you. Let's go over this real quick. These are some of the objectives that we're going to talk about in this PowerPoint. Generally, this PowerPoint can go anywhere from ½ hour all the way to 10 hours. So buckle up. I'm just kidding. Probably about an hour. I'll try to go through it and get it down to about ½ hour because I know you guys
That's recording. We're gonna leave you to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll just keep talking and you guys are already home sleeping. So we're gonna list some of the contributing factors of homelessness. We're gonna define what the hot team and the more team is. We're gonna specify agencies that offer services to men, women, and families. Keep in mind that obviously this list is continually growing as we meet and kind of learn about more, more agencies. So this is not a set list of who we have in here. This is just some of the ones that we have that we use often. And then we're gonna identify community resources to refer homeless subjects to in the Clark County and in the city of Las Vegas. Okay, here's our purpose. The purpose of the LVMPD Homeless Outreach Team is to provide a new approach to reduce homelessness in the Las Vegas Valley through care, compassion, and better understanding the full scope of the needs of those living on the streets. Long gone are the days of Metro saying, we're just gonna rest our way out of homelessness. It doesn't work at all. We see people as, they're homeless, but they're also people, right? And so we see them as this is someone's mom, dad, brother, sister, son, daughter, whatever it may be. These people matter. Right, we are all just one bad circumstance away from being in their same situation, and so we have to understand that they have needs, and sometimes they just need to be heard. We are here for that, and our main goal is to connect them with services. Every time we go out, we encounter people. We are constantly saying, like, pushing them to, okay, what are we doing now? What's the next step? Right, we're never content until they're in their own place and they've got, whatever services they may need. So. Let's go on to the next one. It's the other purpose of the homeless outreach team and the homeless liaison, Dr. Annie Wilson. She's an integral part of addressing homelessness through providing services, programs, resources, and referrals. This is accomplished through a collaborative effort with community partners. I'm going to read that last sentence again because I feel like that is probably this is the highlight of what we do. This is accomplished through a collaborative effort with community partners. This is not something we want to or can do alone. It takes a whole village to get these people the help that they need, right? And so that's why we love coming out and doing these presentations, bring awareness. Because a lot of times people are like, wait a sec, Metro has an outreach team? Yeah, we do. This is exactly what we do. Kind of like my boss, Sergeant Reese, was saying, our legal team has told us, we don't want you guys doing outreach and enforcement. Because you imagine how that would look if I go out to an encampment or I go to a wash. Hey, do you want services? No, I'm good. Cool. Now I'm going to give you tickets and take you to jail. It doesn't really work like that, right? It does not go hand in hand. They don't get the care and attention that they need. So that's why our team is strictly outreach. I've been on the team 2 years. I've never ticketed someone and I've never taken anyone to jail. So that's what we do. We go out and we provide them and link them with services. This is our vision statement. The HOT team's role will be to support and provide contacts for social services, but center on the well-being of homeless persons in Las Vegas and Clark County, Nevada, by interfacing with these members of society in a positive manner. So like I said, we want to instill in them, and sometimes that actually helps build the trust between them and a police agency to say, hey, we are here to help you. And then our mission statement, build an ongoing law enforcement framework of communication, cooperation, and problem-solving solution that benefit the law-abiding homeless population. Anyone recognize this area? I know it's kind of a very still area, but it's right there off of Main and Four Master, right near the courtyard. This picture is from a couple years ago. It was probably even worse recently until we kind of did that big, huge community push to get them services and to clear the sidewalks, because that was a big, huge deal. But this is the reality. This is the underbelly of the beast here in Las Vegas. That it's becoming more and more prominent, but there's also a lot more agencies that we are finding out about wanting to help. And you guys have been here in the Valley established for years, even 8 years. That's a huge feat, right? Doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm sure you've accomplished a lot in those 8 years.
Yeah.
Let me go over this real quick. This is what the housing and urban development, this is the HUD definition of what homelessness is. Persons residing in one or more of the places described below. In places not meant for human habitation, so such as cars, parks, sidewalks, abandoned buildings, or on the street. In an emergency shelter, so as we know, let's just say they're at the night, at Salvation Army for the night, they're still considered homeless. Is in transitional or supportive housing for homeless persons who originally came from the streets or emergency shelters. In any of the above places, but is spending a short time, up to 30 consecutive days in a hospital or other institution. So for example, like jail, if they go to jail, they're not considered, oh, hey, you're housed now at CCDC. They're still homeless. Is being evicted within a week from a private dwelling and no subsequent residence has been identified and lacks resources and support networks needed to obtain housing. And then the last one's similar to it, is fleeing a domestic violence housing situation and no subsequent residence has been identified and lacks resources and support networks needed to obtain housing. So generally, let's just say if I go out on a call for service at an apartment complex and I've got mom, dad, and 2 kids, and they say, hey, we're getting evicted in 5 days and we don't know where to go. Per the HUD definition, they're considered homeless because they lack the resources of where do we go. Let's go over real quick what is not considered homeless per the HUD definition. Although persons living in housing are paying an excessive amount, the housing is crowded, insufficient, and needed repair. Persons living with relatives or friends, kind of like couch surfing. Persons living in a board and care, adult congregate living facility or similar place. Persons being discharged from an institution that is required to provide or arrange housing upon release. And the last one's for the youth. Wards of the state, although youth in foster care may receive needed supportive services which supplements but does not substitute for the state's assistance. Okay, these are the numbers that we have here in Clark County from the census. The census is already done for the year, but as you guys know, we don't get those numbers until kind of like about this month. Probably towards the end of the month, we might get them. About 7,500, 2014, 2015, kind of took a little bit of a dip down. 2019, about 5,500, 2020, spiked right back up. COVID-19, right? The pandemic, that changed a lot of people's lives. That kind of rocked everyone's world. That's why I say we're all one bad circumstance away from being homeless. A lot of people fell victim to that, right? And so that was kind of a huge blow to us as a society, especially here in Vegas. You can see that the numbers kind of tend to trickle down. I'm going to guess they're probably going to spike back up a little bit. A lot of what we're seeing nowadays is actually people living in their cars. A lot of parks and the airport. Right now, if you go to Charlie Frias Park off of like Trop and I think it's Valley View, you'll probably see about 60 cars there and about 10 of them are actually using the park. So the other percentage, they're just actual people that are parked there living in the cars. And when we've gone out and talked to them with the CARES team and like social workers, a lot of them have jobs. Oh, I work for Uber or DoorDash, but they just don't make enough by themselves to pay for rent because rent prices are, it's kind of excessive, right? Unless they go through a rental assistance program, it's cheaper for them to work and live in their car. And then they have all that money to play with because even if they're working and they're paying that rent and all that money goes to rent, and then if they have just food stamps, depending on how much they make, it kind of varies of how much food stamps they're going to get, right? The most I ever saw that someone qualified for, I think the cap is like $290. Lowest I ever saw, they're like, I got like $14.
Yeah.
I was like,
Just went down.
geez, yeah. Like you go and you buy one thing, you're like, okay, done. That's your food stamps for the month, right? And so that's why those numbers kind of vary. I think it's going to go right back up for this year. Let's talk about some of the causes of homelessness. Very first one, we were just talking about that, right? Unaffordable housing. That is a huge deal. That's why there's a lot of rental assistance programs. That's why there's a lot of the shelters here in the valleys because hey, if they can't afford a place, let's get you at least into a shelter and start working with you to get you a housing assessment. Lots of employment, alcohol or drug use, mental health. I usually put a little blurb in there that a lot of times people may think that those are contributing factors, especially those last two. I've known many people that have during my career as a police officer that have had drug addiction and mental health related issues, and they are housed, they're stable housing, stable living conditions. So it's not to say that, oh, if you have, alcohol or drug use and you have mental health, guess what? You're going to be homeless soon. It's all circumstantial. Medical problems, transportation, that's kind of a huge one too. Actually today, I had 2 clients that I was able to get housed off the streets. They were able to get jobs and then they were working and they were getting to and from work on foot, maybe sometimes taking the bus, but that was coming out of their own pocket. So what we did is we actually today, a couple hours ago, we went and gave them bikes. So that way they could bike from their house or from their unit, their apartment to work. And so those are the kind of things that we do, right? It's that preventative care. Because what if we didn't do that and we just say, okay, cool, your house, like we're done, bye. And then they show up to work late because maybe they left late or something like that. And then if they get fired because, hey, you have too many show up late, then they fall into depression and they end up back on the streets, right? We don't want that. So if we can go kind of above and beyond, That's what we want to do to try to help people out. Last two, domestic violence and then lack of skills. Lack of skills, that's a huge one. Some people may just not know how to fill out certain paperwork or may not know what to do. Being on the streets, they tend to have more of a survival mindset of where do I get my next meal and where do I lay my head instead of like, hey, how do I properly manage money and how do I do, you know, XYZ. That's what we try to help them out. We connect them with different agencies that will help them out with that. Homelessness can affect anyone. Here's three very prominent people that at one point they had been homeless. Tyler Perry lived out of his car after his theatrical production failed. He kept rewriting the script until it went big at the House of Blues. You've got Daniel Craig, couch surfed and slept on park benches in London before landing the role of secret agent James Bond 007. And last, Dr. Phil McGraw lived out of his car with his father until they were able to get a room at the YMCA for $5 a week. I would love to have a room for $5 a week at the YMCA. You know how much money I would save? Okay, so this is our team. Our team is called the Homeless Outreach Team. Within our team, we have two separate teams. Right? You've got the Homeless Outreach Team, which encompasses everything county. Then you have the MORE team, which is everything city. That's it. That's how we split our team. The MORE team, as many of you may know already, it's the multi-agency outreach resource and engagement team. Basically what that is, that's how the city deals with the homeless population right now, is that they work through a grant and there's Metro, the city marshals, West Care, and Salvation Army. Each one of those agencies provide, you know, a body for each team, and that right now there's 5 more teams. They go out every single day in one of those city of Las Vegas vans, and they touch everything that is city jurisdiction. They're proactive and reactive. So they drive around, and if they see a camp, they're like, let's go to that camp and see if anyone needs help. They'll let people on out. Reactive in the sense of maybe a business owner comes in and they're like, hey, got these people sleeping in front of my property. I've talked to them, moved them along a couple times, but they're actually really nice. So maybe you guys can come out and offer services. That's what we do. In terms of enforcement, our MORE teams don't do that. So the good thing with these teams being mobile teams is imagine like a social security office, put into a backpack, and then we bring it right out to those people. So we can connect them with, since we already have West Care and Salvation Army, each one of their, you know, respective agencies can help out in unique ways. To connect them with getting their birth certificates, getting them to a shelter, getting them to detox. And then if there's things that they can't do, let's just say if someone's like, hey, I want to get down to the center because I have a case manager there, I want to, participate in the community services. We're not technically like an Uber service, but if we know that getting them down there is going to be beneficial to them, we will put them in the van and give them a ride to whatever agency. So that's the MORE team, that's the city team. The HOT team, which is the county team, they work directly with Help Us Southern Nevada. So the city team goes out every single day with workers from West Care and Salvation Army. County team goes out every single day with Help Us Southern Nevada, and we've now included the Clark County Cares team, which is a team of like social workers and providers directly from Clark County. So now we have two different angles that we're able to provide services. One from the county end, from the Cares team, and then one from Help Us Southern Nevada. So that's the number for the MORE team. It's at 702-229-6673. Once again, you got Metro officers, Salvation Army, West Care. That is for everything that is within city. I was on the MORE team for about a year and a half. We don't go outside of county to go get people to bring them to the city services. Generally, if it comes down to it, we can just have like, now I'm on the county team. I can get people and go there, but in terms of them, they're pretty strict. The city just kind of wants them to stay within the city. So that's that. This is why we collaborate. This is why we have a very open door policy. We don't want to be closed-minded. This is why we collaborate with everyone. Break down barriers. That's kind of a huge deal, right? Us as police officers, we go on out and it's no secret, like we're cops. Sometimes that might be a hindrance. Sometimes people might see that as a barrier and be like, well, I don't really trust you because at one point, Metro did XYZ or I got arrested for this. This is why we go out with other people on a daily basis, because we're a lot more approachable and we can kind of make sure that as we're talking to providers that everyone's just kind of helps, or everyone's safe. It helps build mutual trust. It provides links to services, skills can be shared. We all have the same goal of ending homelessness and other benefits. Usually we come on out kind of like we did with East Family Services in the center. We'll usually set up tours with different agencies and come on out to your facilities and tour you guys and say, okay, what do you provide? Because then that helps us, right? Because then if we come across a certain clientele that's like, we're like, hey, I'm homeless and I've got HIV, but I don't know who's out here helping us out. Hey, Golden Rainbow all day, right? It's things like that that we learn about different agencies so we can know how to best tailor to the clients that we meet on the streets. Put this in here. This is kind of a huge one for us, right? The Courtyard, City of Las Vegas, down off Main and Foremaster, they are open 24/7. What I love about the Courtyard is they're considered a no barrier facility, right? So sometimes barriers for people that are on the streets are, you know, drug addiction, if they have mental health, if they're a sex offender. So Courtyard is a no barrier. They accept everyone. They provide services like the Ticket to Home program to get back to their home state, which is a one-time thing. They could charge cell phones. They have medical attention on property. You can use that as a mailing address. They have like kennels for like different pets. So there's a whole slew of things. They don't provide meals, and technically they're not considered a shelter, but at the end of every night, they throw mats out on the ground and then they separate men and women, and then people can kind of at least sleep there. Once again, it's not considered a shelter, but people can stay there on the property at the Courtyard.
Is that right across from Catholic Charities?
Yes, and did any of you know, let me go up here real quick. Did any of you ever go to the old Courtyard? So you remember, there's like a dirt lot with like a picnic table with like a cell phone charger on there, and everyone's trying to fight over the cell phone charger, and it was just this kind of, is the old Shannon West building as well. Very ran down. They have you seen it now? They have entirely.
That's the image I have in my head, and
It's state of the art.
Okay.
It's not.
So this picture, that's from the Courtyard now. That whole area that you remember, gone. It is no longer there. I was actually impressed at how fast they did it. So they now own that whole strip of Foremaster. That area that was the old Courtyard, they've ripped that down. That's actually the employee parking area. Next to it, they have this big, huge, I always usually describe it as like the quad of a high school. They've got planters, it's covered, they've got big, huge fans up there, blows down cold air during the hot season, blows down warm air during the cool, winter time. They then like next to it, and then they also have like a day center, they have showers there. They have, it's CPLC, Chicanos por la Causa. They have the contract with the Courtyard to provide services like the wraparound services. So they have case managers on property there, which is great. They have 24 security, they have cameras. Next to that is they have 3 different phases that they were going to do this year. They've already completed phase 1 and 2, and they're finishing up 3 by this weekend. And there's a mental health and wellness bureau like building all the way at the top now. So if you were to go down there, I'm going to tell you right now, your mind would be blown. You'd be like, this is absolutely, it's all new. They transform that whole area, because a lot of times we'll have people, it's like, hey, let's take it out of the Courtyard. They're like, I'm not going there. And when we tell them like the old Courtyard, get out of your mind. This new thing is like state of the art. It is nice. They patterned this after kind of like other ones that other states have that have like issues as well, like Texas. They have like a big, huge resource center like this, where it's a whole block. That's basically what the city of Las Vegas did. So it's no longer that little tiny Courtyard.
with nothing, with no services or nothing.
Yes, I'm telling,
Place to chill.
I can't reiterate it enough. Take that image and throw it out, because that is long gone. It's nice now. If you ever had a chance to go check it out, just drive on by, go look at the new Courtyard.
It was kind of patterned after what they have in San Antonio. Yeah.
So let's go over this real quick. This is actually a project that Dr. Wilson came up with. This is it's called the Giving Project. It's held the second Saturday of every month from 9 to 11. So it's this Saturday. We will be there. What it is this is actually a picture from the Giving Project. So you've got all these tables set up. You have all the people that are lined up ready to get on in. And when they go in, there's basically a line. They go through every single table. At those tables are community partners just like yourselves. you've got insurance companies, you've got pet products, right there, insurance companies, medical providers, clothing, hot meals, animal products, cell phones, bus passes. If any one of you wanted to say, hey, how can we get in on that? Talk to Dr. Wilson. You guys will be able to get your own table set up. And then if you have flyers, hand it out to people. And then that brings awareness. That will help you guys out with your clientele as well. This is why I say, like, what we do is very open door policy. This is not something that, cool, we already have our A team for the Giving Project. Please be a part of this. After this is done, please get with Dr. Wilson. We'll give you the contact info. Email us and say, we want in on this. We will get you in. Okay.
Jeffrey, yeah, all right.
Let me go over this real quick. This program is called DSD Cares. Imagine that same exact giving project at the courtyard, but now this one's done inside the jail. So the Cares team, it's the connecting access to resources for entering society. Generally, it's held the third Wednesday of every month. Basically down at jail at Clark County Detention Center, they will open up one of the modules. And if someone has on their arrest paperwork that it's written that they are either transient or that they don't have an address, the same exact thing. Those same providers that go on out, they go inside the jail. And then with all the people that are about to get discharged that are going to be homeless going back out to the streets, they will put them through that same exact thing. And then all the paperwork they get, they put in their discharge packet. So then when they get out, they've already got everything to be successful. So it's quite a change that Metro has, and this was another project that Dr. Wilson was able to help out, is because now we're showing more of like, hey, for those that are on the streets, we're helping out. For those that are incarcerated, we're helping out, right? If you have a phone, take it out, take a picture of this QR code. This QR code is absolutely awesome. We love sharing this with people. This is just kind of some of the community resources. This slide and the next slide just have like a couple names off to the left. If I were to put down every single thing that we use, the slides would just go on. But I actually have this as my background on my this QR code on the background of my phone. And if I have clients that are out on the streets, if they have a phone or a tablet, I'm like, take a picture of this, have this. It will take you to, and I'll show you. Did you guys all scan it?
Yes, and
Copy of it.
yeah.
If you have a copy,
I'll search
yeah.
all of them, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so it takes you to this right there. And so this is the one that we love to share with everyone. We want to get this out there. It's like, please share this with employees, share this with clients, get this out there. That's why we love sharing it with everyone. Okay, these are the shelters that we have here in Vegas. These are the ones that we use for men, women, families, and pets. For men, Courtyard, Rescue Mission, that's a co-ed one. Salvation Army, that's co-ed. Catholic Charities, men only. For women, Courtyard, Rescue Mission, co-ed. Salvation Army, co-ed. Shade Tree, Safe Nest, and Safe House, those are women only. Families, Courtyard, Rescue Mission, Family Promise, and then CPS. Generally, unless it's like an abuse neglect case, CPS will actually work to keep the family together and house them together. Like I said, if there's abuse neglect going on, yeah, like if parents are using their food stamps to basically feed themselves and child's now suffering, yeah, CPS is going to take the kids. But we've had plenty of times when we've seen parents are legitimately, they've just fell on hard times. And can you imagine that, calling CPS out and just punishing them and making it feel even worse of, hey, you're homeless and we're going to take your kids away? No, we want to keep them together. And then for pets, you've got the Courtyard, Salvation Army. Those are the two facilities that allow pets. All the other shelters, they do not allow pets. And then you have the last three help out with like animal products. You've got Street Dogs, Urban Underdogs, and Animal Control. As you can see, for all four, the Courtyard is kind of top. They do everything. They help out with so much. For the families, though, I put the Courtyard at the top just to make it consistent that you can see it. The Courtyard is realistically at the bottom because since it is a no barrier facility, imagine if we bring kids in to come stay there and they have sex offenders there and they don't do background checks, they allow people to come on in, right? We just want to avoid any of that, misbehavior that could happen.
And Shade Tree has vouchers for male victims too. And Shade Tree
also
has a place for pets.
Yeah, Noah's, I think it's Noah's Ark. Yeah, that's right. So they do have that, yes, that's actually a good point, I guess I could probably put that one on there as well, thank you. These are some of the commonly used services. Once again, as I already said, this is not like an end all be all list. This is just things that we generally use on a daily basis that we've had a lot of success with. For detoxing, we have people that are, you know, addicted to drugs and they want help. Everything we do is voluntary. We do not grab people and say, yep, you're coming with me to detox. It's if they want to go. We use the ones that we normally use are Crossroads, West Care, and then Salvation Army's ARC, the Adult Rehabilitation Center. For their personal welfare, we'll usually do the ticket to home. If we can get them home to their home state and use their services there, that's perfect. Because can you imagine if we went through, you know, state and different entities fundings to get them birth certificate and job training or whatever it may be, and then they go, cool, I'm bouncing back to California now. We usually start with that. One of the first questions I usually ask people is, hey, are you looking to get back home? And if they're like, no, this is home to me, cool. Let's set up camp here and let's start working with that. But if they go, oh no, yeah, I'm actually from, you know, Florida. Okay, let's work on getting you back home. As long as they have someone that they can call, and that we can talk to on the other line. The city and the county both have programs to send people back home. They will pay for their either bus or their plane ticket. It is a one-time thing though. Once they use it, it gets blacklisted in CMIS because they just don't want. Back in the day, we used to ping pong people back and forth. Here in California, that was kind of a huge deal. We used to send people all the time. Now,
And then people were just mental health people, were just putting people on buses and sending them.
Yeah,
wherever.
yeah, that was big.
That had to be shut down.
Yeah, they a lot of the neighboring states kind of came to an agreement on that of like, okay, it's a one-time thing because we don't want to keep doing it to you guys and vice versa.
So that one contact, does it have to be someone that they know, or can it be an assistant?
Nope,
That's
it
okay.
has to be a family member, somebody that's
friend.
willing to take them in.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
can't call like a halfway house and be like, can you take this person in? No, it has
We're
to
not gonna
be.
send them to be homeless in another state.
Yeah, exactly. They can't be homeless here to go homeless to a shelter in another state. It has to be someone that is verified. We actually usually say, hey, can you text us your driver's license picture just to make sure, or like your driver's license
Right.
to make sure you're legit.
Okay.
So, and they do the same with us too.
Okay.
Oh, and then for personal welfare, we can help them, hot team, and connect them with resources to get their ID cards, driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, EBT benefits, mental health care. And then for job training, some of the ones that we generally use, Foundation for Independent Tomorrow. The city has a program, Second Chance. The Navigation Center can connect them with job training, and the same with Nevada Job Connect. Let me just breeze through this. I wrote this PowerPoint for officers, for Metro officers, but I still have this in there because I at least want community members to understand how our interactions are supposed to be per our policy, especially as it pertains to them and their property. Basically, we just respect their property. At no point should you ever see a Metro officer throwing any of their property away. That's just not something that is within our policy. It's just not humane to just go on out and just start grabbing all their stuff and throwing it away. And, you know, it'd be humiliating to them.
So when they go through and clean up the sidewalks and stuff, what happens with all that?
That was a great question. So so the cleanups when I was in a COP aspect, I'm sure you may work with your COP officers in downtown. I was in the South Central COP. Whenever we would do cleanups, it would be coordinated through and in partnership with either you've got Clark County Public Works, the city rapid team, code enforcement. So it's not to say that we don't help schedule those. Our team does not. That is for the area commands. But when I used to do that, we would schedule those. But in terms of the cleanups, the crews do that. That's why, like I said, at no point should you see a Metro officer helping out with throwing. Because can you imagine what that would look like if someone snapped a picture of a Metro officer hauling a tent to a trash can?
Well, yeah,
It just wouldn't look good.
not here, but like I see it all the time. They're breaking their tents and, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so in terms of cleanup crews, that's kind of be on whatever the cleanup crews policy and procedures are.
I just wanna add, a lot of times it's posted, they give them 24 or 48 hours, it's posted,
There's gonna be a.
cleanup.
So right up there at the top, you can see Public Works, Rapid, Code Enforcement, and they're another one that do the cleanups. So CMIS, the Community Management Information System. I know that some of you may already have access to this. I know the center, you guys, do you know if you have access for your case?
I know that we were getting access to HMIS.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
But I don't know where we're at with that because my job is so different now.
Sure.
But I know Jeffrey would know the answer to that question. Because we have our linkage to care team.
Okay,
So I think through our linkage to care team, we probably are on that.
sure. So yes, you may know it as HMIS, the Homeless Management Information System. To make it more inclusive, they just call it the Community Management Information System. It is the same thing. They just kind of tweak the name a little bit. East Family Services, I believe you guys have access to this. Okay. Do you know if Golden Rainbow does?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Do you know if your agency has this? Okay.
That's-
So it's done through Nevada Clarity. It's a bit focus. I think it's bit focus is the parent company, then it's Nevada Clarity, and then CMIS. Basically what this system is, majority, not all, but majority of programs that help out with homeless have access to the system. This system tracks the services. Remember how we're talking about the bus passes? How if someone were to get a bus pass and go back to Florida and then come back here and be like, man, that was fun. I want to do that all over again. This system flags them and says, nope, they've already used the service before. Nope. So these are the things that this system does. It determines the most appropriate services. It identifies prior services used by homeless people, identify available resources for immediate referral. This next one's huge for our team. Reviewing public alerts when homeless people are scheduled for housing. They'll get an alert saying, hey, you're up for housing. And then if we happen to come in contact with them, we can put them in touch with their housing program. Assisting with daily outreach interventions, assisting in the efforts to finding missing persons, and the last one's for that DSD CARES program. So the way I usually describe this is like, let's just say you've got some guy up in Reno that just gets the works. They help him get his ID, job training, they get him into housing, and then let's just say he just walks away from everything and comes down here to Vegas and says, man, no one helped me out with anything in Reno. And then we look him up in the system. It's like, you got the works up there. You walked away from everything, right? This is exactly what that system does. It tracks the services they've used. So you can tell if people are legit or if they're just trying to double dip in different agencies. Hey, you help me with this. You help me with that. You help me with this, right? That's very common. This system kind of puts a stop to that and be like, wait, actually, you used this before.
So
Right.
what do you do in that situation if you find somebody that they are just bouncing around and double dipping and all that kind of stuff?
And you just don't help them.
Okay.
So, but it's not to say like, hey, you're just SOL. But generally they'll know like, oh, hey, they're looking me up in that system.
It's not only used for homeless, though, it's used like for financial. You know, we put people in that we've helped them with rent or utility.
Yeah.
That way other agencies
Correct.
can say, oh, wait, East Valley just paid you rent, we're not gonna pay you rent. You know, so.
Correct. So that's why this system is great. So basically inside this system as well, they have, depending on what access the agency gets from the parent company, they can do what's called a housing assessment, right? Those questions are the same for everyone. And so what happens is when they get asked those questions, they do a housing assessment, they get a score. Based off that score, they land, a certain number on a housing list, right? Different agencies require different things. They want certain things, right? If you help out people that have HIV and there's someone on that list, if you were to look at that and say, hey, we could actually help that guy out or that girl out, flag their system or flag their profile. And then when we come in contact with them, if we check them in our system, be like, hey, you're up for housing. We had that a couple months ago. We had this girl, a client that I've been working with, my partner and I, we've been helping her. She got her housing assessment done. And then at that point, we were kind of just waiting. Probably about 3 months went by and we went and made contact with her again. We're like, have you heard anything from your case managers? She's like, no. We looked her up in the system and we were like, hey, you were up for housing a month ago. They're trying to find you. We called on down and they're like, oh, you have her? Yeah, bring her down. We're going to get her housed right now. So that's why this system is awesome. And that's why it's good for us to be out on the streets and have access to this. it helps us connect them with services.
Yeah, cause what if you don't have a phone or your phone dies or you know.
You know what I always say?
Your service gets interrupted.
It sounds bad, but I wish we could do like, you know, like the ankle bracelets that people get on house arrest. I wish you could be like, you're gonna be up for housing soon. I'm gonna put this on you. Cause we have had so many times when people, they're like, hey, you're gonna be up for housing, give us about a week or two, and then we're gonna come find you. And we have had times when, hello. We've had times when we've been like, hey, that person's up for housing, let's go find them. And we can't. And it's hard because exactly that reason of I wish we could just give them a GPS tracker or something, right? Let me go over this real quick too. This is our policy, Metro's policy. Basically, it says information in CMIS will not be used for the furtherance of a criminal investigation or arrest or be shared with any bureau that has the subject under investigation for a crime. We have limited access to this. They only give us so many rights. We can, let's just say like a robbery detective comes to me and says, hey, I've got this guy, he's homeless, he's been robbing all these businesses. I need you to tell me which shelter he stays at night. I can't do that, right? So that way it keeps the clients, you know, it keeps them safe. We just don't double dip and be like, hey, let's check out services and also let's try to get them arrested. We just don't do that. Homelessness knows no season, right? Usually during the hot season, the cold season, that's when we see services start ramping up, especially people living on the streets. They're like, hey, help me out a lot, please. When the weather's nice, they're like, I kind of like it out here. Questions and answers, and then let me.
Out of the year.
Basically, welcome to Vegas. This is our contact info. Please take a picture of this, write this down, share this with everyone. That's our email, that's our general inbox. Then you've got that 828 number next to the hot team. That one goes to Dr. Annie Wilson's office. She will listen to, if she doesn't answer, she'll listen to the voicemails and send it out to us. And then that other one is the city one. That's the Moore team one. The center, I know you guys are like right there, Maryland and Charleston. You guys are in the city jurisdiction. So basically, both those numbers apply to you guys, right? When we were just at the airport, I was like, you guys are probably never going to use that city number just because everything that airport has is county.
Okay.
So
So
any questions or comments?
yeah, so I imagine that you guys kind of run into the same thing that North Las Vegas was saying, where they know there are people who are service resistant, and it's just
Yes.
there's nothing that they can really do. They were saying that they utilize because they got funding, and they were saying that they utilize a system where if they are given a ticket for something, say like trespassing or something like that, it routes them through the court system that connects them with services and care and stuff like that. Is that something that is done with Metro as well?
Correct.
It is.
It's called the second chance or
Yeah.
fresh start. It's called
Fresh
fresh
Start
start.
program. In the city especially, the county does have a community impact center where they do basically the same thing.
Okay,
And it's especially for the strip corridor.
okay.
There's like a specialty court for the strip, and then there's a specialty court for downtown. The one downtown is being very successful.
Yeah.
And this strips, I think it's making an impact for sure. It's a lot newer, but yeah, those courts do exist. Yeah. I gave each of you my card, and that's the best email to reach us because there's a few of us that have access to it. So if I'm off or somebody else is off, we've got access to it. So if you have a way that we can help you, we'll collaborate or whatever, send us an email and we'll see.
I really love the outreach that y'all are doing, especially with people that are incarcerated too, because that is such a big problem when they get out.
Yeah, so basically, like you
You
said,
know, and just a revolving door of like,
Yeah.
okay, I got in trouble, now I don't have an ID, or I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I can't get work, and you know, all
so
that.
it's literally, it's
right
a
back to that
requirement.
same-
If they're doing it out within 60 days of an event that's being held in the jail, they have to attend. They can show up and have a bad attitude and just take the stuff and walk out the door, but they have to attend. It's like, hey, we're giving this to you. You need to take a look at it.
They need to
Because
be
we're trying to set you up for success.
Well, it's good,
So,
'cause that's such a, So-
Yeah, we have a party folks in there as well.
When I was
No,
there,
the bus
oh, sure, I
station,
can found
sure.
her, and it's
Everything up on this.
that sounds awesome.
And then we tried home with some kind of discharge plan, so they won't be released to the street and recycled back into the system.
This is why we love doing these presentations, honestly, because every time we do it, we always have that reaction of like, I didn't know you guys were doing that. This is why we love to present this, right? Because it just shows people like Metro's taking a new
all of these
approach.
Different areas where we're all, we're working all together, to kind of like, make a difference and.
Takes a village,
create that
it's not just Metro alone or just you guys, it's everyone collectively. So, well, sadly, we do have to get going. If you have any other questions, please reach out to us on either via the email or the phone number.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So, because we were talking about getting in touch with the more team too. Now, do they have other information than you guys? Or did this slideshow pretty much cover them as well, where they wouldn't necessarily need to come out? Okay.
It basically covers that. If you would like them to come out, Mario Guzman, he's their director. We
Emailed him, he didn't email me back.
we work with him on a daily basis. I'll get with Mario probably tomorrow and be like, hey, man, let's go back to go to bed.
Where's the doctor? Get the doctor to get-
Right.
That's a good, honestly, that's a good point. I'm gonna get okay. If you want to project, if you feel like you guys can bring, if we have this couple like flyers or pamphlets that if people come. This will be help out. It gives, the people that are on the street, and even if it doesn't apply to them, they can say, I know someone knows.
Exactly.
That's how it helps you guys too, gain and kind of boost those numbers,
Yeah.
and then that collectively helps the whole community, so.
That's what
Oh,
I just want to push it, because the only thing about our organization is that it has to be referral. So that's why we don't necessarily do a lot of marketing per se. because
So where's?
A case manager, like in order for us to be able, in order for you to be able to get our service, so we are constantly getting. So we are constantly getting, like, can you guys provide this, and it's like, not only do you have to have, an HIV diagnosis, but you have to have a case manager. Because we, with our grants, it's referral based only. And we don't have case managers, like I said, we're a four-man team, we have a client services manager, we have a programs manager. We have our executive director, and then our executive assistant, like even doing this is like. It takes a lot of.
But hopefully you learn more about how you
Yes.
guys can expand, and if we can be of any assistance, please, that's what we want to do.
And that's what, so so when I started last year, that's what I saw, is that there was so much disconnect between, between the nonprofits in the area, between the businesses, between the police departments. And I'm like, why are we not all in one room? And so.
But this coalition is so awesome.
Yes, exactly. So, not to hold you up more, I will undoubtedly, as we get going, once I get the page up, once I get more people seeing what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and that kind of thing, then, undoubtedly I'll be reaching out again, hopefully to be able to, have a bigger class and for you to be able to present. What anything
No, downtown, it's downtown. It's downtown. The south side, Brian, is on the south side of Center. This is technically city law.
Okay, just making sure, but I don't want to refer her the wrong way. I always forget.
Thank you guys so very much. So.
I will send you that.
Perfect.
Nice to meet you again.
And, I'm gonna put that.
We have-
Oh, Julie's clapping. Okay, thank you. Oh, right, because it's still open.
Yeah, I just realized that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. So we're gonna go ahead and log off now. But thank you so much for staying the whole time. Oh, there's a message. You wanna click the?
Oh, do you?
Oh, you're late with my message. Never mind, you're late with the message.
Check our volunteer.
How you doing? I know you probably cannot see me, officer.
Fridays, you probably have.
Oh, wait, what's the message? Can we? Oh, sorry, I'll let you do it. I apologize.
but.
Yeah, I've been clapping. I
Oh,
clapped
okay, so that was. the
I
old
did a
one.
thumbs
Okay, we missed
up.
it, but thank you, okay.
and I
thumbs
said,
up.
love your work.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Joyce.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, and then,
Well, that's what I'm gonna be doing, yes, the first two, it was like a bit rough, they've been hanging, I appreciate you guys, Holly's been hanging. So just as far as like how we wanted to do it and all the rest of that, cause not knowing the resources that were out there, cause I'm only, this is my, I just had my 1 year anniversary. So now that I'm learning, the different things that are going on and all that kind of stuff, then I'm going to be reaching out to different